What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be ranking the Arrowverse crossovers. Now, guys, I will be adding a couple of episodes in addition to the actual annual crossovers that the Arrowverse has had to this list. So yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and get right into it. So starting off at number 10, I have the crossover from The Flash Season 3, Episode 17, which is titled DUET. Now, this one, it wasn't exactly a bad episode of The Flash, or I guess not a bad episode of TV. It just didn't really make a whole lot of sense given the context of the season. You know, you have like a big thing with Savitar happening in the season, and then you just throw in this episode, which focuses on repairing relationships or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it was entertaining, obviously. And, you know, Supergirl was in it. That made it a little bit better, so it was like a little Flash Supergirl team up. And of course they were stuck in their own heads, you know, created this whole world of a musical. But yeah, I think, you know, this at number 10 I think is well deserved. I mean, it's not bad, like I said, but it just wasn't really necessary and just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. At number 9, I have another Flash Supergirl crossover, and this is World's Finest. This one was, of course, on Supergirl Season 1, Episode 18, I believe. You know, obviously the Flash runs to Supergirl's Earth in this crossover, and then the two of them take on some Supergirl villains, you know, with each other. And I didn't hate that at all. I thought, you know, obviously the Flash being on Supergirl made this episode of Supergirl a whole lot better. But yeah, I mean, some parts were pretty cringe, and, you know, it wasn't super action-packed, although it was enjoyable. World's Finest comes in at number 9. So now at number 8, I have the Heroes Join Forces crossover. Now, of course, this one was basically the Legends of Tomorrow backdoor pilot, sort of, I guess. Obviously, they introduced the Legends of Tomorrow Season 1 main villain, Vandal Savage, in this crossover, along with the Hawks, Hawkgirl and Hawkman. And obviously, Hawkgirl and Hawkman weren't very good. Vandal Savage also wasn't very good. However, I don't think this crossover deserves as much hate as it gets. It's still pretty enjoyable. Obviously, the Hawks and Vandal Savage are pretty bad, but I don't think they're as bad as people are always saying that they are. So yeah, this crossover, while it was, you know, not that good, I thought it still had some good parts. There was some decent action in this crossover. Barry time travels, which I thought was awesome. Obviously, you have the Flash and Green Arrow in this crossover. So as you know, obviously it's down here number 8. It's definitely not one of the best crossovers, but I don't think it's one of the worst. So now at number 7, I have the Flash versus Arrow crossover. Now, this one was in the Flash Season 1 as well as Arrow Season 3. And this one, you know, it's just a classic Flash and Arrow team-up. You know, it's just, you know, the Flash obviously gets controlled by a metahuman that turns him angry. And then this, you know, obviously forces Oliver to fight him. So Flash versus Arrow is literally what happened. And I really did enjoy that. But, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of anything else that was going on. Yeah, even though there wasn't much else happening, this was still a pretty good crossover. There was nothing bad that happened to it. But yeah, there were some iconic moments in this crossover still, you know, with Oliver shooting Barry in the back with an arrow. So yeah, this crossover, while there wasn't anything super amazing going on, I still, you know, obviously there wasn't anything bad, and it comes in here at number 7. So now at number 6, I have the crossover from The Flash Season 9, Episode 9, and I'm going to call this Mini Crisis because it sort of is a mini Crisis on Infinite Earths. Of course, you had Bloodwork wanting to essentially take over the entire multiverse. Oliver Queen returned, you had Diggle, you had Kid Flash, and yeah, this episode of The Flash was absolutely amazing. The reason it's down here at number 6 is because it didn't last longer. They definitely could have made this crossover last longer. I think that would have been so cool, you know, in the final season of The Flash, getting another 2 or 3 episode crossover. That would have been amazing. But yeah, obviously this episode was amazing with Bloodwork being the main villain, Oliver Queen returning, and this episode actually looked great as well, which is saying something compared to the rest of the Flash Season 9. So yeah, this episode just was amazing, and I wish we got more of this crossover in the Flash Season 9. So now number 5, I have Armageddon. Of course, this started off the Flash Season 8. You had heroes like Black Lightning, the Atom, and, you know, other heroes that were returning, and it was actually really, really good, honestly. The villain was Despero. I thought he was a really cool villain for the most part. You had Reverse Flash's involvement with it. Him creating a Reverse Flashpoint, I thought was such a great idea for this crossover here. Barry forgetting Joe died as a result of Reverse Flash changing the timeline, I thought was such a cool twist. That was something we hadn't seen on The Flash in a long time. So yeah, the Armageddon crossover, you know, obviously it still had the main problems like the Chester and Allegra screen time. But yeah, I still thought it was amazing for the most part. And yeah, it comes in here at number 5. So now coming in at number 4, I have Crisis on Earth X. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably have this as, way higher or maybe even number 1. But me personally, I think this crossover is just a little bit overrated. The reason for that is because it seems like there were too many heroes in this crossover. Obviously, I'm kind of contradicting myself by saying that because, Crisis on Infinite Earths had a lot of heroes, but they kind of have an excuse for that because we're dealing with multiple Earths here, right? But for Crisis on Earth X, you're only dealing with Earth 1 and Earth X, so I just really don't know why there are so many heroes in this crossover, and at times, this crossover was just a little bit cringe. I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, it just wasn't always pleasing to watch. But of course, you had some great stuff happening in this crossover. You had doppelgangers like Tommy Merlin. You had the really emotional death of Martin Stein. The final battle I thought was pretty good. Reverse Flash was a great villain, along with Overgirl and Dark Arrow. I thought they were both pretty good as well. So yeah, while most of Crisis on Earth X is pretty good, I still think it's a little bit overrated, and that's why it's here at number 4. Now, at number 3, I have the Invasion crossover, and the reason why this one is above Crisis on Earth X is because Invasion really felt like a Justice League, There weren't too many heroes. There was like 8 heroes maybe just all teaming up, and, compared to Crisis on Earth X, where it just feels like there's 25 different heroes just joining the fight. But this one really felt like united, right? So they're all, uniting together to fight against the aliens, which I thought was so cool. There's a lot of great moments in this crossover as well. Especially Arrow's 100th episode, which is in this crossover as well. That was awesome. Just like I said, the Justice League aspect of this is really what won me over compared to Crisis on Earth X, so I would put Invasion here at number 3. So now at number 2, I have the ELSEWORLDS crossover. This crossover did not have the Legends in it, but of course it still had Supergirl, The Flash, and Green Arrow. And this is where Green Arrow and The Flash essentially switched identities, where Barry becomes Oliver and Oliver becomes Barry, which I thought was such a fun idea. Obviously, Superman was in this crossover for the first time, which was awesome. And you had Batwoman's introduction. Now, while Batwoman wasn't exactly the greatest character, we still had some awesome Batman references, which I thought was so cool in this crossover. And it also foreshadowed Crisis on Infinite Earths with the Monitor, which, all that stuff. I thought it was absolutely amazing. And yeah, this is really one of the most underrated crossovers in my opinion. So yeah, that's why Elseworlds comes in here at number 2. And now at number 1, I have Crisis on Infinite Earths, and for the most part, I think it was perfect, honestly. There's just 2 things I would change. Number 1 is Lex Luthor's involvement. I loved him being in the crossover. However, I just would minimize his involvement just a little bit. I love how they're emphasizing how much of a genius he is by, becoming one of the Paragons. But I wish they kind of didn't do that, to be honest, because it kind of felt weird, but I still, it was still pretty enjoyable. The other thing is I would have Reverse Flash at least be in the crossover and have Barry actually vanish for at least just a little while. I think, that really would have paid it off to the fans. But yeah, otherwise, I think Crisis on Infinite Earths is the best crossover in the Arrowverse. So yeah, guys, that's my list for Arrowverse crossovers. Make sure you comment your own list down below. And actually, guys, I wanted to talk to you really quick. I have a little bit of an announcement. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from YouTube. I'm going to be super busy coming up in the next couple of months. So yeah, I do plan on uploading again eventually, but for now, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break, especially, with the Flash ending, and, there just not being a ton of stuff in the TV world, due to the strike. So yeah, I'm just going to be taking a little bit of a break. I'm going to hopefully still be pretty active on the community tab, but in terms of making videos, it will be a little while before you guys see another one from me. But anyways, I'd say that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment your thoughts on this video down below, as well as, like I said, your own list of your Arrowverse crossovers ranked, and I'll see you guys in the next video.